Alright, I thought I would show you the hole that the anchor windlass went through. This is aboard the 1988 F29 Formula. And when I pulled the windlass out, you can see, I don't know if you can see, the weather here is pretty crappy today, but they didn't seal this or the decking through the hull on the deck. So I started grinding it out with a tool that's used actually for cutting PVC pipe. It's like a miniature rotary circular saw blade, about 1 inch. And I started grinding a lot of it out. And so the best thing to do is take this apart, take the bow pulpit off and recore it, because it's separated. I don't know if you can see that, but when I pull that rail out, the two skins are separated from moisture, and really that's the best way to fix it. Sealing this would be a temporary fix to stop water penetrating here, but the best way is really to take the whole pulpit off, split the skins, recore it, reseal it, and not leave a split side to the two skins and make it one piece of fiberglass. Some of these screws won't even stay in because it's split. But that's the hole for the anchor windlass. Same thing here where the rope drops through. This should have been sealed by Formula originally, and just having the gasket isn't enough. So I thought I'd show you that. So this was the one I took out. Looks about 8 inches. Just impossible to get your arms up in there. So now I have plenty of room. I could lay on my back, get both arms up there, have no problem accessing the solenoids or the motor from underneath. But this was just way too small. In any event, this was the hatch I'm putting in. It was a Tempest, and it says that, let's see, doesn't really give the dimensions on it, but I'd say it's about 8 by 12, 8 by 14 maybe. I'll measure it and then I'll give everybody the exact dimensions, but that's what I would suggest. Cut that hole out. And I pulled the headliner down, and you've seen that in a different video. I'm still working on that. I had resealed this hatch. It's not leaking anymore, but the leak's coming from the bow pulpit, where the two bolts hold it, and from around the anchor windlass seal. So got to order a new one anyway from Good, and we'll see how that goes. All right, I'm back, and I figured I'd show you what I did where the anchor windlass was. So this had an 8-inch round porthole in it, you know, regular hatch cover. It was way too small to get my hands in there, so I had picked up a hatch. I think it's like 10 by 12 inches, and I cut out the old round one, and this is the piece that I cut out, the top and the bottom. You can see how thick it is. It's about, a little under of a 1/4 inch thick, I guess. So here are the anchor wires. Like I said, according to Good, these were supposed to be number 6s, and they look about number 10s to me. Same thing with the ground. So I'm going to check them again, but Good says these should be 6 all the way back to the batteries or the starter. And this is the harness. Look, I mean, there's a lot of extra wire here, and then Formula actually pre-wired. Let me see if I can show you that. You can probably maybe see it in there. Maybe not. There's bow lights, docking light wires that were never connected. I guess that was an option back then when the boat was built, but the wires are there. So, in any event, if I do rewire those with number 6s, then I'm thinking, okay, what can I do with those 2 leads since they got power directly going to them? They're energized even with the keys off, though Good had recommended them wired to the ignition circuit, and I get power with the keys off, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. So in any event, that's what I thought I'd show you. It'll be much nicer behind. Now I have the other front panel off. There's another panel that goes in front of this one. You can see some of the water damage there. And I plan on doing something else with it. Maybe putting like a wood backer up that's removable with another door. So, you know, door in front of a door. And I'm going to clean that out. And, oh yeah, let me show you the top where I took the, where the hole is. I'll get back to that in a minute, but. Well, here's the culprit. This is a good AFD windlass, free dropping, and it has a solenoid, 2 solenoids, one for up and one for down. This is the solenoids that were on the boat, and this is the bad one. You can see it's got pretty rusted. And so I bench tested these, and this one works okay. I brought in a battery, I wired it up, and I jumped it with this to simulate the solenoid switch. Now, I did speak with Tom at Good, and my boat is a 1988 F29 PC, and they have 2 number 10 gauge wires, positive and negative, going up into the anchor locker. According to Good, those should have been number 6 wires, and he does recommend rewiring the boat. I'll probably going to do that. Right now, I'm just going to fix this. I already pulled off the motor, and that's what I thought the problem was, but when I got it off this, I said, let me give it a test, and the motor fired up fine, both directions. It spun very fast. Tom said it was supposed to be 18,000 RPMs. Of course, I don't have a digital meter to tell if it's 18,000 RPMs, but in any event, it spun pretty quick. I will tell you that it wasn't that easy to get off. There's only these 2 nuts that actually hold it on, and then the shaft goes up through the middle. I had to hit this quite a few times with a hammer just to get it a little bit loose so I can get a screwdriver in here and slowly pry it down. Anyway, on top, there are a bunch of Allen keys that you have to take off. All these, there's 1, 2, 3, 6 of those. And then you can pull this off. Now they use silicone. Silicone goes all along this to seal the unit. This is the shaft that drives the gear from the motor. And there is another Allen key right here that if you wanted to pull that shaft out, this Allen key has to come out. And there's your oil fill hole. I just took off this part, which looks like a guide for the, whoops, yeah, right way. The guide for the rope, sorry. I guess I'll have a better time putting it back together. And I just cleaned this off. This is recommended to have wheel bearing grease. I just cleaned it. And I'm letting this part, which is the cover, soak in PB Blaster because there's these 2 pins and springs that go in those holes. And I was not able to get these Allen keys out yet, so
I heated them last night. I got them a little bit loose, but I'm letting them soak now that I got the cover off with some PB Blaster. The gears are in good shape. And there you can see is your clutch mechanism. And just to show you how this works, when it's free dropping, this pulls out. Can you see that? That pulls out and allows it to free drop. And when it's in, these teeth grab the rope. So pulling it up, it goes with the clutches in, and free dropping, the clutch is out. Obviously, I'm going to replace the solenoids, even though this one's working. If I'm going to buy this one, I'm going to change that one too, because to get the bracket off was not a fun exercise. Now they recommend siliconing even under around these. These just pop out. You know, once you get the motor out and you've loosened this Allen key, that shaft gets loose and this gear set pops right out. You got to rotate it a little bit to pull it out. And I took off this part a few minutes ago just to see if I can get this whole assembly out, because I want to clean out all the salt that's in here. But the motor's working. This was the bad solenoid. That was the drop. That was the lift. But I had it jammed, and it wasn't working at all. Now, I don't know if this motor is still good. Tom says that there's a chance that it's shot, and he might be right, but I won't know until I put it back together and test it. It seemed like it was working, but I don't know if it has enough torque. It is the original motor, I think. There's no way to tell. But in any event, that's a good AFD windlass, and they're built rock solid. And I'm not sure why Formula stopped using them, but these are excellent units. In any event, I'll post the second part of this. It'll be one video. Once I clean it, put it back together, and we'll give it a test run. All right. I just thought I'd let you know that this part, you can see the screw hole down at the bottom. There's another one on this side. And that screw is right down here. This one screws onto the cover right there. So I just removed that gear set. So you loosen this up. This gives this a little flexibility. There are two bearings on here, one here and one down at the bottom. And you loosen this up, it gives this a little bit of play. You can see I can move the shaft up and down. And I pull that out. Now inside here, there are also two bearings. These are spinning, but I'm probably going to order them anyway because I got it apart. But anyway, so there's two bearings in here. I already cleaned out the inside. And then that releases this. So this can pull out right now. And I've been putting that in there to keep it clean. So I can clean out all this crap. Now this side is obviously the rope side where the water is going to get in, and this side is where the oil bath is. So I already peeled back all the old silicone, and I'll clean this with some acetone, make sure that there's no residual silicone on, so when I re-silicone it, it stays tight. And I'm going to paint it. I'm going to paint it white to match the bow, and I'm going to find out about powder coating it. I'm not really sure if I want to go to that extent, but I think it'd look better than it does now. That's the original casing. Anyway, I thought I'd just share on how to get it apart. This is my first time taking it apart, and I wanted to get it apart. I'm going to drain the oil. It uses Mobile 140. And once I get the oil out, I'll cover this side, and I'm going to spray salt away in here and clean that out of all the old residual salt. And hopefully this will be good as new again, I hope. Anyway, Mike tuning out with the 1988 F29 formula with the good AFD free drop windlass, 1/2 inch.